Hi Stampers, welcome to our December Stamp Club. Today I'm going to be demonstrating Snowflake Wishes and the So Many Snowflakes die set. So you can see here, just post your name when you get on so I can see who's here. So here I cut out the dies and you can see there's some really beautiful dies that go with this. And then also here's the stamp set that we're going to be using today, Snowflake Wishes. And you've probably seen that we have a big clearance sale going on right now. And thankfully, Snowflake Wishes will be carried over into the new catalog. However, you can't get the bundle deal anymore after December. So if you like this, you should probably get it now as a bundle. And when I saw the holiday catalog, this was my top set. I just really liked it. I just love snowflakes. I don't really like the snow, but I like stamping snowflakes, so go figure, huh? Anyway, so the first card that I want to do is going to be our watercolor card that we're going to do because it needs quite a while to dry. And so we're going to do that first and then set it aside. So, hi Phyllis. This is the card. Hey, Marilyn, Olivia, Robin, welcome. So this is a card that we're going to be doing. Really had fun making this card. So I'm going to show you how I did it. So first of all, I used my Stamp-A-Majig, not my stamp, my Stamparatus. It's not a Stamp-A-Majig. I thought this was totally cool. Look, I put almost the whole stamp set on here so that I don't have to stamp each individual snowflake. I just put it all on here and I can just quickly stamp this card. And so I thought that was really fun. So I took my watercolor paper here and I lined it. I think I lined it up right here. And then I'm just going to test and make sure that the magnet's in the right place before I ink it up. And that looks almost there. All right, because I want the magnet to hold it down. All right, so, you know what I did too is I just wanted to decling this a little. So you can take a dryer sheet. This is retired, but I have one and maybe you do too. So I took my Versamark and I just inked up the whole thing. Probably got the whole table shaking now. All right. I found by using the Stamparatus I could really crank these out. So there, I'm just going to push it down real good. Now the cool thing about this too is you can re-ink it and re-stamp it if you didn't get enough on, but frankly it's pretty hard to tell with the Versamark if I did a good job or not. So I think I'm just going to re-ink it and do it one more time just because I want this card to look nice and not mess it up. Not because I can't see if it's on there or not. But I made enough of these that I know that this does work. So I'm just pushing it down real good since I can't really see it. Okay, so now I'm going to remove this, set my Stamparatus aside. Here's my card. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm got my clear embossing powder and I'm gonna open it up. I'll need to, okay, good. All right, so I'm gonna put clear embossing powder on there. So Wondering how you guys are all doing. I heard it might snow this weekend, so it's probably just as well we're not meeting today in person, because I wouldn't want you driving around in bad weather. Greg had to run out and quickly, okay, that looks good. Quickly mow our lawn one last time to get rid of all the leaves. We have a mulching mower, and so he did that this morning. And I'm watching Blair almost all week this week, so it's been, my quiver has been full this week. All right, I'm gonna use the embossing gun now and heat set this. This takes a little longer than usual because I did emboss the whole sheet. And I want to make sure it all gets melted in. And it's almost impossible to see it, but I think I got it. All right, there we go. Sorry for the noise. Okay, so now the magic begins, and I am gonna put down, so this is gonna get a little wet, so I'm just gonna put down a couple of napkins. And I found, so you can use, well, you can use about anything. I used these new water painters, which are in this they were new this last catalog. And I was watching some YouTube videos about how to watercolor, because frankly I haven't been real happy with my watercoloring efforts to date. And also just different watercoloring techniques, which was really a lot of fun. And I noticed that they got their papers really wet. So you can like squeeze this and get it wet. But I just found it was easier to use my spritzer and spray it wet. And you can also use just a regular paintbrush if you don't have a water painter. I just have had more success with the water painter. But before I do that, I'm going to get ink palettes. So for this card, and you guys should be following along because you have this in your kit. So if you have 4 inks, or you can even do 2. But I liked that. Here's another example, like the different colors of blues that I got. I don't know if you can see that. By using different colors, I just thought it was really pretty. So I used 3 blues, Misty Moonlight, Pacific Point, and Balmy Blue, and then I brought a highlight color in Gorgeous Grape. So what I did, you can squish the pad and get a little ink pool here, but I didn't think that that was enough ink for what I wanted. So what I did was I took, and you guys have seen me do this before, I just took an acrylic block, and you don't even have to cover the whole thing, like just maybe half of it. If you were doing a lot of cards, you could totally ink the whole block, but I'm just doing one, so I'm not doing a ton. Okay, so that was the Misty Moonlight. You know, I think I'll go and do the blues first. I'll do the Pacific Point next. And this is a really deep color. So there's my Pacific Point. And Balmy Blue. This, of course, is a lighter color. I'm going to put a little bit more on there because it is pretty light. You could also put re-inker drops on these blocks, but my pads were quick, so that's what I did. Then my fourth one's the, what is this? Gorgeous Grape. Reading the French. I can't even read the French, what it says. I can read Amethyst, though. All right, so good. Now I have my palettes ready to go. And so the first thing I want to do is get my card, like I said, get it real wet. And so, you know, when you get your watercolor paper wet, it always tends to buckle. So I just, usually if you hold it down after you get it wet, it'll kind of flatten out a little. Or you can even set like a block on it or something like that. Oopsie, don't do that. All right, let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to spritz it. Get it good and wet. And so I want to see water pooling on there. I want quite a bit of water. And all right, that looks good. And like I said, it's starting to pool, but if you just kind of push it back down, it'll kind of flatten a little. All right, so I'm going to start. I don't know, where did my original card go? There it is. All right, I'm going to start with the purple in the middle and then kind of work around that. So let's see, can you see this? So I squoze some water on my brush so that it's pretty watery, and now it's on my acrylic block, and you can see. And I'm going to just push this down and just add some color and just let it kind of run off. And I'll pick up a little more. And so I found if you just get some, gosh, I wonder if you can see this. It looks like you can. If you just get some straight color and add it on, it kind of gives it more depth. So you can see a sort of lighter here and then the darker there. So I like to do a little of that too, just to kind of make it look more interesting. All right, and then I'm going to squeeze the water out. See if I can get this clean. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to bring in the balmy blue. I'm going to squeeze some water on there. And some of it I kind of mix in so that I get kind of a lavender color, and then I keep the kind of the truer blue, I guess, on the outside. And I'll put some more over here. Maybe some down here. Okay, and I'm getting a little dry, so I'm just going to add a little more water over there. These misters are very inexpensive and very handy. All right, squeeze the color out, and we'll go with I guess a Pacific Point. Pacific Point next, which is a really deep color. And I'm just kind of mixing it around. Just doing whatever the mood strikes. And I'm going to come back in later with some more of the Gorgeous Grape. I meant to have a cup of water handy to clean this off with, but I forgot. All right, so now I'm going to pick up Misty Moonlight, which I watered that down probably too much, but it looks good. All right, I'm just kind of putting it around. Maybe we'll put a big gob down here since I have this big area. And see, by pushing it down, I pretty much flattened it again. So now I'm just going to go in for the white spaces. I'm going to clean this off now and bring in some more. I'm going to water it down a lot so that it's not as bright as the center there. Gorgeous Grape. So there, I'm going to put a little down here, and I'm going to kind of mix it so that it's really pretty lavender. And I've got a little white space down there. So yeah, I'm just going for the white spaces now and just kind of look at it and see what areas you just want a little more pop in. So I probably got too much of a pop there. I'm going to clean this out a little and just wipe it. And there we go. That looks good. Okay, I'm going to just kind of mix these colors a little bit better. Okay, so, all right, I like how that looks. I'm going to set my blocks aside. Okay, and now I want it to be really wet for the next step, and hopefully you guys got salt to do this. Now you're supposed to use a coarser grade than table salt for this technique, but I didn't have a coarser grade, so I just used table salt, and I was happy with how it turned out. All right, there were just a couple uncolored areas. All right, so I'm just going to get it a little bit wet again, and I'm going to sprinkle the table salt on it. A generous amount. And so this is why we did this card first, because you want to let this dry naturally. I experimented with, this is one that actually dried naturally, and I don't know if you can see all the modeling. That's from the salt. See, the salt's going to dissolve in and do this pretty effect. This one I heat set it, and that modeling pretty much disappeared. So you don't want to mess with this or try to speed it up. You just want it to dry naturally, and it may or may not do that. It probably won't be done by the time the video's over. You'll probably just have to do it later. So after it's totally dry, though, you want to brush the remaining salt off. So go to the sink or something and brush off the remaining salt, and then you'll be left with something that looks like this, and it's really gorgeous. Alrighty, so I'm going to set this aside to dry, and we'll come back to it later if it's dry enough. And so yeah, I'll come back and finish that card at the end of the video. Wipe off my salt. Okay, we're going to work on the next card, which is a spinner card. I was going to try to get a clear, well, I did. I ordered some clear thread but from Walmart, but they were out, so I was stuck with dental floss. But the dental floss looks all right. So anyway, so I took 4 1/4 by 11-inch card strip, and you want to fold it in half. I just match up the corners. And grab my Big Shot, my cutting machine. I will get it right one of these days. Old habits are hard to kill off, aren't they? And for this one, I'm going to be using one of these dies, which is this stitched nested labels dies. And I'm going to be making a little window. So I found that if I ran the rest of my card off the edge like this, instead of putting the whole thing on here, I didn't get any little marks in my paper and stuff. Like that's why I have the crease right there. And I'm going to line this up. I'm just going to center it. I really just eyeballed it. I thought about measuring them when I made them, but I didn't. I just eyeballed it, and hopefully it works. If it doesn't work, you can always trim down your front panel until it does work. All right, that looks pretty good to me. And I'm going to put this on top. Doesn't look like it wiggled. And of course this is backwards, so hopefully I can do it at this weird angle. one of the things I've learned is kind of hard to use the die cutting machine in the videos, but there it is. So there's our little window. And I'm going to leave the machine here because now we're going to do the front panel. And for that, I used this really pretty die in the So Many Snowflakes set. And I'll push this back over. And I just centered it. On the paper. I'm going to run it through. Now it is a little bit hard to pry the paper off of this die, but certainly not impossible. But it does kind of stick a little. So we got a few more people on. Welcome, Kay. So yeah, see, it just comes right out. You just have to be gentle that you don't pull the snowflakes off, but isn't that pretty with the stitch shape around it? Really, really like that. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and emboss it, and for that I need another plate. We just need the bottom plate, the one plate, and I thought that this looked like a canvas when I embossed it. It was really pretty. So I put that in the embossing folder, put the fold side towards the mechanism, the turning mechanism, the crank, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to crank it through. Oops. And isn't that pretty? Really like it. All right, so we are ready to assemble the card because I went ahead and cut out the rest of the little elements because it's all just pretty much more of the same. And I thought you would appreciate not watching me cut out every single one of them. All right, so to assemble this, what we're going to do, so you can see on the inside it looks clean, and that's because we're nesting the dental floss between these top two layers here. Like so. Is that yeah, that's all right. Make sure you got the right side. You can look at this, you can't really see the stitch on the wrong side, but on the right side you can see that little bit of stitching. So you want to make sure you get the right side and line it up. Now, if you see that I didn't quite do a perfect job with this one, so I can just take my paper cutter. Let me grab it. And I'm just going to trim down that side. So like I could have been all scientific and used a ruler and made sure everything was perfect, but I didn't because it just was too hard for my brain to wrap around. And this works, so, let's just make life easy. So that looks good. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is there's two snowflakes, and I'm going to take the dental floss and take a piece of it. Now for this, I used my little glue dots because I think that they're really good and sticky. And I'll start with the snowflake first of all, gluing the snowflake together. So I'm going to put one in the center. And I think I'm just going to grab those glue dots off because sometimes when you use these little elements with the glue dots, you can rip your little element if you're not careful. So it's almost easier just to put it on. So that's what I'm going to do. If I can unstick myself. There we go. And you want to try to not have your glue dot showing through the design. It's a little bit hard to do. So you just have to kind of be careful, and I'm kind of squishing it down so that it's not sticking out a little, trying to anyway. It'll stick out a little bit, but it'll be fine. See, I'm sort of folding it over. I really doubt you can even see that on the screen, but I don't have the most high-tech equipment, so I can't really zoom in nicely. I mean, I could, but it would be hard. So there. All right, so I got a glue dot on each of the snowflakes, and I'm going to take my floss and put it, I'm going to find the middle of the floss, just folding it in half. There's the middle. I'm going to try to put the middle in the center of my snowflake, and I'm going to go right from point to point on the snowflake. So there is there. And then what I did was I put another glue dot on top of that, just to make sure that the on top of the dental floss, just to make sure that it's stuck to the other side of the snowflake. So there's one, and then I'll put one more down at the bottom again. All right, so now I'm going to take my other snowflake, and by the way, there is a right and wrong side to this. You can see one side is smooth and one side's kind of scuffed up. So you want the smooth side to go down. I mean, you want the smooth side showing. So now I'm just going to line up my points. And there we go. So now the floss, unstick it from my work surface. There we go. There we go. So now, here we go. Get that just right. Okay, now the snowflake is on the floss, and you can't really see the floss because it's sandwiched between the layers. And I'm going to tape it. Here I'll probably just use tape. Double stick tape at the top and bottom. Now you want to make sure that you don't put the tape up at the top, because you're going to have a little bit of the card showing up there. So I'm keeping it away from the edge of the card. So there we go. And I'm going to take my snowflake now and center it in the window. This die is great because it's got a nice little point, so you can see exactly where the middle is. There we go. And I'm going to take another tape and put it over the twine just to hold it in place, or the floss, just to hold it in place, and get my scissors, and I'm just going to cut off the excess floss. And you want to get pretty close to the tape because you don't want it to show at the edge of your card like that would show, so I'm going to trim it again. Okay. Perfect. All right, so now I'm just going to put adhesive on my front panel that I embossed. This is, I think, a really stunning card, and really pretty easy. I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this card. All right, so I'm watching the center to make sure these aren't sticking out, and also the corners to make sure I have a nice frame around the edge. And there, that looks good. So then I just put the word thanks down here. I don't know if there's any glue on this one. We'll see. Oh, here we go. Get my silicone mat here, which keeps the glue from going everywhere on my work surface. And oh good, there's glue in here. Yay! So I'm just going to put some glue on the thanks. There we go. And so when this dries, you can just rub it right off the silicone mat. If you don't have one, you should add it to your craft room because it's really, oops, it's really nice. All right, and this really doesn't cost much. Just a couple bucks, maybe $3 or something. All right, I probably should have pulled that down a little bit. Now I'm committed, so there it is, stuck. All right, and oh, there's my ribbon. I just made a little bow with my ribbon, which if this, I checked last night, this ribbon was still on the clearance rack for like $3 or so. I don't know, it was really cheap. So, and it's so pretty because, well, it's shimmery, right? I mean, that of course is pretty in itself, but it just takes on whatever color paper you put it on, and really gorgeous paper, really gorgeous ribbon, I mean. So some of you pre-ordered to take advantage of the clearance sale, but I'm still placing an order, so if there's something you still want to get, let me know. And if you haven't ordered yet, then please either do so or tell me your order so I can get the party closed out. Please let me know, I guess by noon tomorrow is what we usually say, so. But yeah, there's still stuff on that clearance sale, and they also had some really great stuff on the clearance rack. I don't know if it's there anymore. They had single color alcohol markers, which was like $1. So it was a steal, $1 something. So some of you got those, I noticed. All right, now I'm looking for my glue dots. Oh, there they are. So I'm going to put a glue dot on there. Oh, hey, Jerry. Jerry's joining us. All right, and I'm just going to put that right there in the center. And then the last thing I did was I put this really pretty paper, and you can put either color forward back here on the card. So you could put the blue, or you could do this side. But I chose the blue side. So to do that, I just put, you want to put adhesive on the top and the bottom. And I just sort of set it, I'm on screen good. I set it in the window, and then you can just close it like this. And look at that, flip it over. It's in the right place. And isn't that pretty? There's a spinner card. It's really fun. And surprisingly easy, I think. So there we go, spinner card. All right, our next card is a Luminary Card. Gosh, I couldn't even think what it was called. I'll save that for the end. This one was actually pretty easy to make too, I thought. Grab my stuff. So I'm going to show you a fun little trick for this card. So I took a piece, once again we're doing portrait style cards versus landscape. And I scored it at 4 and 4. So I have 4 inches, 4 inches, and 3 inches on here. And we're going to take the big snowflake, and it does like a reverse cut, which is really fun. I thought this would be really fun to get little paper bags and cut them in these and put them out, you know, as luminaries for decoration. You probably can't put them out if it's raining, but you can put them around your house. It'd be really pretty. All right, so let me grab the die cutting machine. And for this, I need this 2 plate and the cutting surface. And this giant snowflake. And all right, so this is, when you cut it, if you just flat out cut it out, this is what you get. You get all these little chads, and you've got to like poke them out, which isn't impossible. But I have a little trick to avoid that. And that's to take a dryer sheet. I just folded it in half. And I'm going to put this, let's see if I can get this all in here. All right, I'm putting my edge on the edge of the plate because I don't want this to get all kind of little designs in it, or I don't know how to say it. All right, so I'm going to set this on, and I'm going to center it as best I can. This is hard to do one-handed. Okay, hopefully it doesn't all fall over. All right. I should have put that all the way in, but it's really hard for me to do it and do it on the camera, so hopefully this will go through like this, and it will. All right. Okay. You know, this machine is not that hard to crank, but when you're trying to crank it from a weird angle, it's hard. All right. So there we go. Let me get this out of here. All right, take this off. And, all right, do you see that? Watch this. You just peel this off. Look at that. All the chads are in there and out on your card. Isn't that something? That's really a cool trick. All right, so now I'm going to just get rid of my dryer sheet. So see that compared to this, if you run it through, get all these chads left, but this one, they're all gone, which is very nice. Okay, and on this card, I also cut out a little snowflake, and I cut a circle out of a 4-inch square. Actually, 4 inches and 3 by 3 3/4, I think. There, so I cut the circle. This is a retired circle, sorry, but that's what worked. And the snowflake. Just to make it faster, I already cut out. Oh, yeah, so you could use either side of your paper. You could use this side or you could use that side. Now, this isn't a perfect square, so you want to make sure you get the right. See, if you go this way, it doesn't work, but you rotate it, it fits perfectly. And so, yeah, we can go ahead and tape that down. So am I on the screen? Yeah, I am. Putting adhesive in the 4 corners. Or you can use your tape runner or whatever glue. I don't really like to use glue on this kind of card, but you could use glue too. All right, and just get rid of all the little dirt speckles there. And I'm just lining up the border, and looks like I kind of, let me try this the other way. You got to look at your snowflake too. It's all kind of got to be in there as close as possible. It's not going to be perfect, but there we go. That looks pretty good. All right, and now I'm going to take my ribbon, which is a piece of retired ribbon that I found that matched this paper, and it looks kind of very pretty with it. And I just did a knot here on this one. So I'm just going to tie it, and then I'll position it after I tie it, because it's sort of hard to do it all. Now I was going to use this really pretty ribbon on this card, but I realized I didn't have enough to do all the card kits that I needed to, so that's why I had to pull out this other ribbon. I did order some more though, because I really like it. And let's see, hopefully these scissors work on ribbon. I'm just going to trim my ribbon. And I used a glue dot on my little snowflake. All right, I don't know about you, but my card's not dry yet that I made. But I have a few other little things to show you anyway, so we'll just keep doing what we're doing. All right, I'm going to put a glue dot in the center. And I'm going to pry it off with this little tool. Which, you know, in the old days we used to emboss with these things before we got all our fancy embossing machines. There we go. Oh, nope. Need to do this down at the bottom. All right, so I stamped with a sentiment from the Snowflake set, which says, "Our friendship is one of a kind," which I thought was a really nice sentiment. And I'm using Memento, my favorite black ink to use. Don't really like using StazOn because it stains your pad, your stamps. I mean, I use it if I have to, but it's not my go-to. It looks like I got some ink on there, so I'll flip it over. It's not really my go-to color, I will say that. Okay, perfect. I'm going to just clean this off real fast because black does tend to stain. There we go. All right, and now, there it is. I really love these punches. They're really make great labels. I've used them a lot. I've got both of them. The other one's not handy, or I'd show it to you. Okay, and I just like to line it up on the back to make sure that it punches correctly, because I've had a few that don't, and then I'm kind of disappointed, right? So I'm just making sure it's lined up, and it is. And there you go. I'm going to move this off. Oh, one of my high school buddies is watching. Hey, Mary Jo. It's the amazing thing about Facebook. You can reconnect with people you haven't seen in a very long time, sadly. We're all getting older, aren't we? All right, so now I'm taking my, I can't even think what it's called. foam tape so that it's dimensional. There we go, stamping dimensional. And all right, I'm going to fold this. All right, so you want to put it pretty close to the edge because you want to get your luminary candle to be able to fit. Here's one that I bought off of Amazon, which I thought was really pretty because it looks like a real candle. I used them for Bree's wedding too, and I really liked how they looked. I mean, for a fake candle, they look pretty realistic. And so here I'm just going to center it. I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. And there, that makes a nice little tray. And you can kind of play with this to get it to where it tents nicely. Of course, now you really can't see it on the screen, but there, I'm going to put my little, I'm going to tape it in so that I can hold it sideways so you can see it. Maybe I'll use one of these dimensionals. Otherwise, you can't really see it. There. Of course, you don't really want to do that because you can't really turn it off when you do that, but I just wanted to do it so I could show you what this looks like. And there, oh, it's really not working. Well, there. It's hard to see with all my lights I have going, but it's really pretty. I wonder if I turn it off, if you can see it better. Oh, there. Of course, now you probably can't see the card, but anyway, you can see it's quite pretty. All right, I'm going to go back and check my first card real fast, which is pretty curled up, but still pretty wet. It's too wet, and then the salt hasn't really activated yet, so I'll just set it aside. So I wanted to show you some ideas for quick and easy cards, because I know I'm always making these complicated cards and maybe thinking, well, I just want to crank some cards out because I've got to get some Christmas cards or some thank you cards. I was thinking these would be great thank you cards, and all I did was take 4 sheets of designer series paper, and that's in this snowflake pattern that we've been working with today. And I've got salt on my table, so it's kind of making little crunchy sounds. So I just took a piece of 4 by 5 1/4, and then I put a little border behind it and put it on white cardstock. And this little strip was just the, let's see, 4, 8, 9. The little strip, I guess it's a 1.5, I don't know what it is, inch strip at the top of that 12 by 12 paper. I just stuck it here, flipped it over. That's the flip side of this paper. And same for this one. So there's 4 cards. And so I thought this would be really a fun little gift idea you could give to somebody or just use for your own Christmas thank you cards. And so to make this card, I actually just used leftover elements from the class today. I always have these leftover elements. Like this came from our floss card. I had a bunch of these, so I went ahead and cut a little snowflake out of it. Like I said, I just took a piece of white cardstock, and I got goobies on that, but it'll be covered up by the paper. And I'm just layering it. So you could do either side, but I really like the snowflakes. So here we go. I'm just going to make one for you. And so these cards assemble very quickly, and you can make a bunch for last minute gifts or for your own thank you cards. And the good thing, snowflakes, you can use snowflakes. I mean, I leave my snowman out until, pretty late. At least Valentine's Day, and usually after that. Don't really like the snow, but I like decorating with snow things, right? So there you go. So isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to tape that in so I don't have to tape that down. Am I on the? Yeah, I'm on the camera. And there. So I'm just using leftover elements from the class that we did today, except for I cut out a new snowflake and a thanks, which I will get some glue on. And see how that's dried? You can just rub off the old glue and keep reusing your silicone mat, which I talked about earlier. That way you don't get glue all over your background, which is nice, especially when you're taping it and you don't want to have to make a new background every time, right? It's a lot of work. You don't want to ruin your table or whatever you're working on. All right, so there, I just stuck the thanks off to the side and blot off any excess glue. There, quick and easy. So there's that one. Here's another one. I'm not going to assemble it for you, but that I'm going to finish. And this is all using the same paper pack. There we go. So here's the deal. If you place a $50 order, I will give you one of these cards for free. And if you place a $100 order, I'm going to give you all 4 of these. So there's a little incentive for you. Sweeten your Christmas order. Are we dry yet? Not quite. Okay, I wanted to show you a little sneak peek. I was fortunate enough to attend on stage this year, and they had it virtually, so I was able to go virtually, which I loved. I mean, I wish they always did that because, like, who can afford to fly and stay in a hotel? But I was able to go virtually. So, as you know, this catalog is retiring, the mini catalog, and we're going to be getting a new one, January to June. It's just chock full of amazing things. And so at the on stage, I was given the opportunity to do a pre-order, and so I did. So here is a really fun new product that they have called blending brushes, and you can make some amazing, they're just little brushes. They're like makeup brushes or something, I don't know. Anyway, you get 3 in a pack, and you can make some amazing backgrounds with this, so I'm really looking forward to playing with these and seeing what we can come up with. This is the suite that I got called Art Gallery, and it has coordinating dies. And I don't even know, I think this paper goes with it here. So we can't see that anymore, but yeah, it's got coordinating paper and the dies, which cut them out. Pretty excited about playing with this. Hopefully I get time. Hey, welcome, Carol. Hopefully I get time over Christmas. Probably won't. Maybe after Christmas to play with this stuff. But anyway, it's really a beautiful suite. So there's that. This is really pretty acetate paper that overlays I think it overlaid on this one, or it might have overlaid on the one that I just showed you. I think it overlaid on the one that I just showed you. And so it looks really pretty when you overlay it. This, okay, the Flower and Fields Designer Series paper. And the donkey, Darling Donkeys, are going to be coming out in our celebration catalog, which they're changing up celebration now. We're going to have 2 celebrations a year now instead of 1. And they're going to both be 2 months long. And the reason they're doing that is because they've always had a problem with getting supplies in because of Chinese New Year's in January and February. And we always sold out, and it's annoying, you know. So what they're trying to do is the January and February offering will only be locally sourced products so that they won't have that problem. And then the one that they have in the summertime, I don't exactly remember when, June or so, they're gonna do the stuff from China so that, you know, it won't be conflicting with their new year. So anyway, here's a celebration catalog, and this is like a free paper you can get for a $50 order. The donkeys are free with a $50 order, and I've seen some really cute cards with the donkeys. And there's this Approaching Perfection stamp set. I haven't gotten that one yet. This ombre paper, which is really pretty, also with a $50 order. This is a really corner bouquet. Make some really pretty cards and heal your heart. Some nice sentiments. The paper, which I already showed you. A Field and Flower, which I thought was really fun. The Touch of Ink. So this one is a big stamp set. It's got 17, so you have to have a $100 order for this. And I really like it, and I probably would have got it, but I wasn't given the opportunity. I don't think I was given the opportunity with my pre-purchase, but maybe I was. I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to definitely get that one because I really, well, I mean, hummingbirds and butterflies, what's not to like about it? And this is really fun. It's also a $100 order to get this, but you get paper and that cute stamp set and some really cute cards with that. And yeah, anyway, so celebration starting January 5th. So our next stamp club will have celebration, and it'll be pretty, well, celebration is always really fun time of year. And what I didn't show you was this, which is some really pretty gold ribbon, which coordinates with the first suite that I showed you. And then this painted texture embossing folder makes really pretty embossed background. So I got that. And so yeah, very exciting. All right, so let's see how our first card is doing. Yeah, so it looks like mine, it looks like the salt activated. And let me get back on the screen there. And so you're starting to see that pretty mottled effect. I'm not ready to take the salt off of this yet because it's still a little bit damp. And so it's still kind of pulling off the ink to make that pretty background. So I am just going to set this aside and let it dry some more and use one that I did earlier to finish this card up. So you can see this, when it's fully dry, this is kind of what it might look like. Or this one, like I said, I heat set this one so it didn't activate as well as I would have liked. But now you just take a 5.5 by 8.5, is that right? Piece of card, fold it in half. And you can use your bone folder to make a nice crisp edge. And it's going to be portrait style. And did I cut this right? I did. Okay. So you want to be sure and check out the sales right now. Check out the clearance rack if there's anything on there still. Check out the closeouts. There's some really sweet deals on the closeouts if there's anything left. I know that the Snowflake set was still on there as of last night, but the stuff that is retiring, just the Snowflake bundle is retiring. You can still get the stamp set in January, but you're not going to get that nice 10% discount. So there's taped on, and I thought I cut out the rest of the elements. Oh, there it is. For this one, I used the giant snowflake, and I just took a little piece of ribbon and kind of made a little tail with it. I was thinking, I mean, this is a snowflake, but I was thinking shooting star, which is kind of stupid, but anyway, that's what I was thinking. And I think I want to take it the other way. And so to get these to stick, you kind of have to put a piece of a glue dot like in between it to hold it down like that. And then you can take another glue dot, just stick it to the snowflake. And I put these up on a dimensional on my original card, but I think that with all these little fragile edges, I don't want to do that. So I think I'm actually going to glue this one down instead so that it doesn't, like if you mailed it and these were like poking up, they could get caught in the envelope. And that wouldn't be good, would it? So yeah, I think I'm just going to glue it. I think that would be better. And I just sort of stuck it. I don't know, you can stick it wherever you want to. Wherever you have a space that looks good on your card. I stuck mine over there. And I put thanks on there, which I somehow managed to lose my thanks. Let's see if I have another one floating around somewhere. Well, I have one in Pacific Point that I think I'll use because I can't find my white one. And you don't really want me to cut out another one on screen, do you? And we have Pacific Point in this card, so it'll look good. I did like the white too, though. I thought it was really pretty. There's the white version. Here's Pacific Point, which is really pretty too. But I used white because I knew on your cards, because I knew you might not be using the same colors that I was using. So I wanted to give you a color that would work with everything, but I do like the white. I think it's pretty. All right, so don't forget, with a $100 order, you can get all 4 of these cards for free, which are just my quick and easy thank you cards. Or with a $50 order, I'll give you 1 of them. And I'll show you our cards again for today. 2, 3. And thank you for joining me today. Here, I'll just put that down so you can sort of see it. I hope you guys have a wonderful Christmas, and miss you all, really do. Take care. Bye.